Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. What is going on, Bleacher Report family? It's your boy, Steven. Over at FP, we're talking Longhorns football. We're talking number one Texas Longhorns versus the number five Georgia Bulldogs here on Bleacher Report, the Bleacher Report app. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe the whole bit. I'm sharing this out to make sure everybody is hip to the live stream. So give me a second. I want to make sure everybody gets in here because we're talking ball. It's Texas, Georgia. I'll be there on Saturday. Uh, one of the biggest games in the country. Resume builder opportunities for Texas, for Georgia, especially coming off of a loss against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Kirby Smart leading his team to back-to-back national championships, 42-game win streak in the regular season. A lot, on Kirby's side, right? In terms of what he's accomplished, what he's done at Georgia. They're coming to Austin. And I mean, it's just a huge deal for those of us who are Texas fans. Excuse me, those of us looking for welcome to the SEC. What does it look like? What do these games look like, right? Very, very, very excited to break this one down and excited to talk ball with you guys in the chat. Brightside 14, what's up? What's going on, Don Jones? How you doing? Good to see you. I see you live and clear. Guys, we also have a poll here. I want to know matchups. You guys always know when I talk ball, styles make fights. What's the key matchup here? Is it the Texas passing game led by Quinn Ewers, right? Gunnar Helm at tight end. Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, Jonte Cook, DeAndre Moore, Silas Bolden, Ryan Wingo versus that vaunted UGA secondary led by Malachi Starks and a bunch of guys that are going to be future NFL players. Vote here in the poll. Also, the Texas run game, right? Last week we saw Quintravion Wisner break out. We saw, Jaden Blue get his, but mostly it was a Wisner game, right? But against that Georgia front, Kirby Smart, he knows no middle. Don't run the ball on me. Will Muschamp, those guys. That Georgia defensive front, that's key. And then the UGA passing game, led by Carson Beck, Oscar Delp, Dominique Lovett, and so many guys that are there on the UGA side that were part of that big comeback against Alabama that have, been able to put points on the board against Mississippi State and others. Is it them versus that Texas secondary led by Michael Taft, Malik Muhammad, Jade Barron, Andre Makuba, transfer from Clemson? What does that look like, right? So, and then the Georgia run game. Trevor Etienne, Nate Frazier versus that Texas defensive front, Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins, those interior boys that replaced Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy, who went to the NFL. We know how impactful they were for Texas. But what does that look like, right? So just wanted to talk about ball with you guys. Number one Texas versus the number 5 Georgia Bulldogs. A big thing for me in this game is Quinn Ewers bouncing back. So there's going to be a lot of scuttlebutt about does Arch Manning get opportunity if Quinn gets off to another slow start. We know we can't afford a slow start versus OU, like we did in the OU game, versus Georgia. Considering the level of opponent, Kirby Smart, the whole bit. We know that. Quinn Ewers, though, I think he had to shake off a lot of ring rust. 3 to 4 weeks without playing football is a long time. And like I said earlier today on the Lock On Longhorn show, when you have some of that ring rust issue, that can be the exception, not the rule, right? That can be the exception, not the rule. What I mean by that is in 2022, Quinn Ewers came out and he played like fire, right? As a true freshman when he was out after suffering the injury to his clavicle in the Alabama game in 2022. He sat all the way through and then came out and was man on fire, Denzel Washington style, 49-0 in Dallas versus OU in 2022. 2024, he's rusty, right? We still win the game. We win the game by 31 points, 34-34, 34-3. We're sharp. We look great. That's fine. But one of the issues that you see with Quinn is missing those open reads, missing those guys wide open for big plays over the middle, and really expanding and extending the lead. Even in some of those situations in the red area where we didn't feel like we were as sharp as we've been the last few weeks under Arch Manning, right? Now, granted, Arch Manning came out there and played against lesser opponents. He played against UTSA, Louisiana Monroe, Mississippi State. I get it. But the execution was there. So when you look at, hey, if things are open against Georgia, we want the person that's going to execute. We want the person that's going to get the ball to our playmakers and let them go be dynamic out and against the other opponent and do their thing. I think Quinn Ewers is going to show you the guy that showed up in Ann Arbor in September. I think that's what you guys are going to see from Quinn Ewers come this Saturday. I call him Bubba because it's funny and it's a whole nother thing, but I call him Bubba. Bubba is ready to cook. And Quinn Ewers is ready to show you guys, hey, that performance you saw against OU was not my best. The footwork was off. The decision-making was slow. The accuracy wasn't where it was typically pinpoint-wise. We're going to have that buttoned up versus Georgia. Quinn Ewers is a big-time player, and Quinn Ewers has delivered. Kirby Smart is going to run a defense very similar. Please listen to me, guys. Kirby Smart is going to run a defense very similar to what Nick Saban deployed against Texas in 2022 and 2023 in Tuscaloosa. Tight cover one principles, man high up top, man coverage underneath, very tight coverage. That's what Georgia has shown a lot of all season. Cover one, cover three. They're going to run a lot of cover one, and they're going to trust their guys, and they're going to try to cause chaos, and the confusion is going to be up front at the line of scrimmage, stunts, guys willing and dealing inside the A and B gaps, right? Who's coming, who's not, who's bending outside, who's dropping off into the flats, and nickel, jumps in there to do. That's what Kirby Smart's going to try to execute to cause confusion to our veteran offensive line led by Kelvin Banks and Jake Majors and cause disruption for one Quinn Ewers as he tries to get comfortable and into rhythm like he did versus Michigan opening drive and therefore, right? Because you remember the Michigan game, he didn't punt. He came out there, boom, boom, boom. I know he missed the opening field goal with Burt Auburn, but he had a touchdown to Deion Moore that got called back, right? That got called back because of the issues. So let's be mindful. Let's be mindful here of the precision that Quinn can operate when he's in rhythm with the offensive line and his receivers. I think the Oklahoma game was a perfect tune-up opportunity and a high leverage, high pressure situation to get back on point. Because one thing we know about Quinn is when he goes against creme de la creme competition, he does typically rise to the occasion. You can't really show me examples of where Quinn has not delivered and played well against high-level competition, high-level scheme that we'll see from Kirby Smart Will Muschamp, and the Georgia Brain Trust come Saturday. I haven't seen that. What Bama was running last year with Saban and them was a lot more complex than what's dialed down now that they're running at Bama, minus Caleb Downs, who's at Ohio State. Minus Caleb Downs, who's at Ohio State. Yes, I like the Umar thing. I think it's effective for understanding what I'm saying. So just roll with it. Okay. Just roll with it. I think it's effective. However, if Quinn comes out there and he's on that bullshit again, and he's missing wide open dig routes, we're stalling, we're punting the ball, turnovers, airmailing guys, things of that sort. And he's not playing quarterback to the level of expectation that we know and have come to see at Texas. Then yeah, Arch is in there. I'm gonna say it. Arch is in there. I have not called for Quinn's name to be pulled. I think I think we have a quarterback room. I think this is a quarterback controversy situation. Let me be explicitly clear here. I think this is a no quarterback controversy situation. But at the same time, you have to be prepared for anything. And if he's going to come out there and just miss guys, things that are wide up, basic concepts and breaking routes, right? You just need to step up a couple feet in the pocket and deliver the ball effectively on time. Let these guys run after the catch because there's really no heat on them. If you can't make those throws, then I need somebody in there who can. And we know we have that with Arch Manning, who's been able to push the ball down the field. And it's an interesting spot, too, because Georgia was the school the most in the hunt for Arch Manning after Texas. And at one point, one could say they were the leader for Arch. Now, I'm not saying that Arch is going to play in this game. I do think that Quinn Ewers will have a bounce-back game. He will show you the guy that he was in Michigan. And I think Quinn Ewers will show you ultimately the footwork, the poise, and what I've been able to say on YouTube and every platform I've been on for the last XS months. Year 3 Sark quarterbacks under Steve Sarkisian coming into year 3, performing a whole nother level, a completely different level under Steve Sarkisian. And Quinn Ewers is no different. The only issue that he suffered is that he's missed some time and some rhythm, which is, by the way, y'all saw me here on Bleacher Report, 2-3 weeks ago, saying I wanted him to play versus Mississippi State. That's why. I wanted him to play those games, to get those game reps, to get that shit out of his system. So please see why I said what I said. Okay? Please see why I said what I said. I agree. Quinn can't afford to have a bad game with Archer's QB2 and his draft stock on the line. There's a lot here for Quinn. Is it fair? You know what? I'm going to say yes. Because, here's the reality. Because of the path that Quinn Ewers chose to go to Ohio State that first year, when he really should have been in high school and been a 2022 guy instead of a 2021 guy, okay, cool. You're not eligible for the NFL draft, but this is the situation you're now in where, Bubba, we got a ball? And do what we need to do to solidify that? Or we're in a whole other situation after this season. So the pressure is there for Quinn. He needs the ball. Because Arch ain't sitting after this season. That's number one. Number two, if we really want to get technical with it, Quinn was supposed to be class of 22, not class of 21. And Arch was class of 23. So he's technically only supposed to be 1 year behind Quinn. But Quinn left his senior year, got here at Ohio State, got that starting year at Texas, and we've run with him. And he has all of the traits and abilities that you can ask for to win at this level with a group that has been recruited and put together on this staff. The roster management at Texas has been outstanding. Credit Steve Sarkisian. Credit Chris Jackson. Credit Jeff Banks. Credit Kyle Flood. Credit Shard Choice. Okay? If we're talking offense. So they have the personnel there to do whatever they want to do, assuming they have the right trigger man in there, whether it's Quinn or Arch. I think Quinn's going to be fine. I've seen him play well against the biggest, baddest guys out there and take over. I've seen him do that too. And I think this is a classic y'all must have forgot. I know I reference Forward Jones all the time, and sometimes it gets annoying, but that's where I feel on this. Classic y'all must have forgot for Quinn Ewers against Georgia. I think he puts on a performance that folks will take away and say, hey, that's a high-level NFL prospect. If he can do that against Georgia, he can do that in the league with better personnel around him. I think people are going to leave the game saying that. Another thing I want to highlight is Texas defense. So we've had a lot of conversations. Locked on Longhorn is one. Kristen Seth is another, where folks have said, hey, Steve, I know you love the fact that the Texas defense has only allowed 3 touchdowns this season. However, who have they played? The highest level team they've played is a 71st ranked Miami State Bulldogs offense. Is that the best I've seen, Steve? And while we can't control our schedule and we don't have anything to do with that, all we can do is when we play teams like that is bury them. And that's exactly what this defense has done. And it's come in a myriad of ways, led by Anthony Hill, Andrew Makuba, and Michael Taff. And I'm not surprised by the 3 people that have been mentioned as those leaders for stepping up and taking this group into the core, considering the conversations in the past I've had with some of those individuals. So I am extremely excited to hear the accountability and the challenges that are taking place in the building to keep guys' mind fresh, to keep them understanding that it matters. The greater weight of things can get out of control if you don't hold that team to a certain amount of points. Things can get out of hand, and people can hold those teams if you don't generate enough. That's the fact. That's the fact of the matter in the NFL and the society that we live in. So when I look at teams like Washington with Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson with Baltimore, while they're very, very exciting and they're rival cities to us in the Dallas area, I do have to give them their credit for at least having a better eye for identification for those things versus America seemingly does. I could be wrong. And if you want to argue with me in the comments, that's fine. But this is just from my purview. I don't see enough that the government's doing to really pipe in the national patriotism inside that we will need to protect so many people down the road. I don't see that. So I think it's important that I highlight that as we're talking here. What's up, sports fan Jack? What's up, man? I appreciate you guys coming on and talking ball with us. Now, how's this Georgia game play out? Let's talk Georgia, because we've talked a lot about different elements and whatnot. When I look at this Georgia team, how explosive are they offensively? Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo, can they threaten Texas defense that's only allowed 3 touchdowns a game, allowing less than 10 PPG a game? Can they threaten them enough vertically? Can they threaten them enough within certain pockets to create some of the chaos and havoc that's necessary? I don't know if I necessarily see that in this matchup. And it's not a shot to Georgia. It's just as much as good as how Texas has been playing. And understanding that Georgia doesn't have the game breakers that they once had in Brock Bowers and Latin McConkey and George Pickens. They don't have that right now. So I think it's very, very critical for Texas to take advantage of a lot of those matchups defensively against Dominic Lovett and some of the younger Georgia receivers, and what Carson Beck is going to have to come to school to play against in Austin on the road. And we saw a lot of those struggles early, but we also saw Carson Beck be a warrior and figure those things out late against Alabama. I don't know if he's able to do that against this Texas group. I think this Texas group is a little bit more sound, has more time in together, has better comms. Johnny Nansen being a secret weapon here. Former defensive coordinator at Arizona, now the linebacker coach is Texas, as well as co-DC title with Pete Kwiatkowski. I see some opportunities here for Texas to really take advantage and stifle Georgia's offensive game, led by Carson Beck, and forcing them to be at least one-dimensional. Now, if Georgia's able to run the football up the interior, inside zone, and a lot of those elements, and they're able to keep things timely, problem for Texas. And I foresee some explosive plays here on both ends giving up. Vegas has this line right now at 56.5 points. Texas minus 3.5. So right now, Texas favored number 1 versus number 5. 3.5 points come in this game. And I think Texas can cover that 3.5 points. I think Texas has enough weapons offensively. I think Texas has enough juice with Quinn getting sharp. Also understanding the pressure behind him with Arch Manning and what's there. And delivering that knockout blow in Austin. 56.5 over under. I see Texas winning this game 34-23 in Austin over the Georgia Bulldogs. I think Carson Beck is going to have his moments. He's going to have some moments where he's pushing the ball downfield, Trevor Etienne, whatnot. But it's not going to be enough for Texas and Texas and those guys to, or I'm sorry, Georgia and those guys to deliver what they need to do is a counterpunch to Texas to win this game. Hit that poll that you guys see there. What is the most important matchup in Texas versus Georgia? Past game, secondary. Sports fan Jack said you copy my score, 34-24. Hey, man, this is just how I see it. It's just how I see it, okay? Just how I see it. So you guys let me know what your final score is here in the chat. We know Quinn can't afford to have another bad game. I'm telling y'all right now, I'm standing on business with y'all. Bubba's going to come through, okay? Bubba's going to come through this game, outduel slightly Carson Beck and that Georgia offense, Bobo and them, Kirby Smart. But is this, let me know in the comments, is this only round 1 for Texas versus Georgia? Or will we see a rematch? Will we see more SEC? If Georgia loses this game, they have 2 losses. They're going to have to win out the rest of the season in order to be in that 12-team playoff. Let's be realistic here. I don't know if you can get in with 3 losses. Now, if anybody can, probably Georgia, but that's really, really pushing it. And then Texas putting themselves in the driver's seat, going to the end of the season, delivering. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Texas, Georgia, big time game. Everything on the line. Austin, Texas, Saturday night. I'll be there in person. So if you see me there in person, you see me there, dap me up. I'm still in DR right now. I'm still finishing up vacation, but I will be back at Texas in Austin, Texas, Saturday night for Texas versus Georgia. So I love to see as many as you guys as I can. I think Texas wins this one. I think they win this one comfortably, and they move on to 7-0. We'll see where we can go for the rest of the season. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you, Bleacher Report. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, everybody that supported us and this platform. Let me know what you think in the comments. Comment, subscribe the whole bit. Appreciate y'all. Remember, horns always up. Welcome.